Hey YouTube, what you know good? He is the Reverend, this is Project KNM, and we're back with some more of that fresh art goodness. So, what are we working on today? Well, this is day 7 of OC-tober 2020, where I did 31 illustrations of 31 different OCs. Some of them, most of them, were mine. Others were done OCs of friends of mine or associates of mine or just fellow artists. This one, for number 7, is actually an OC of a friend of mine's. If now he sometimes shows up in my comments. I sometimes show up on I lurk on his streams every now and again, and I have done some artwork for him in the past. Jea H Saren. He's not much of an artist in comparison to me, but he is a fellow gamer, and he is quite the creative mind when it comes to writing. He has had plenty of ideas in his head when it comes to different different character concepts, and he's got stories out the yin yang in his head. In fact, he and I are working on a webcomic as we speak. But one of the original ideas we were going to do was based on a bunch of characters he made in one of his old games, one of those old Facebook games he would play. He's made quite a reputation for himself and had got himself quite a following on Facebook because he would constantly stream and record himself playing a game called Ninja Saga. That's where his original Jay character, originated, I think. Maybe he had a different variation of Jay, but I think that's the version of Jay that most people remember and recognize. He made a bunch of characters in Ninja Saga, and this is one of them. Character name Uriel. I don't know too much about her, but the thing is, what I do remember is the variation of Uriel we were making for an animation idea we had. What we were going to do, we were going to take a bunch of characters that he made in his Ninja Saga profile, as well as some characters that I had been coming up with, and we were going to do something very similar to how do I explain this? Basically, it was going to be like an alternate history kind of situation. Think Soul Calibur. If you're a gamer, you might understand what I'm getting at right now. But basically, imagine 16th to 17th century alternate version of the world, alternate past, where where the world was separated into different nations and different continents and whatnot. And the idea was that a bunch of these characters that were in his Ninja Saga profile and whatnot would be from different continents and different parts of the world. They would end up meeting, including Jay Saren himself. Yeah, they would all meet up as strangers, and would eventually have to team up and work together to defeat some greater foe from the shadows, like some type of equal organization or something like that. So I don't know exactly how these characters were, how their original personalities were before I started, doing redesigns and coming up with ideas for them for this story, which we were at the time calling it Legends Forgotten. I'm not sure if Jay wants to bring this back up because we kind of had to scrap the whole project because we weren't going to be able to animate this whole thing because animation takes forever, and I'm just one guy. But since we have no idea when we're going to get back to this, if ever, I think we might as well just bring up the idea, give you the gist idea of it. When it comes to Uriel here, she was one of those. I picture her as kind of like a perfectionist. This is obviously going to be a fight heavy, combat centric series that we were coming up with. There was going to be fighting. Some characters will use weapons, some just hand to hand. Uriel was one of those hand-to-hand kind of combatants. I picture her as a bit of a perfectionist who has like clean technique, and I also picture her as kind of like a wushu specialist. The idea was that she was going to be like someone like a type of style. I want to say something like Baguashong, something, something with very circular motions, something very fluid, something not something almost soft in comparison to her slightly brash, slightly hot-headed nature. Very strict. She's very strict on herself. Very, very, very serious. Takes herself very seriously, and she basically doesn't want to be left behind in her during the adventure. She doesn't want to need to be helped. She wants to be able to help others, and she definitely needs to learn how to chill. And her travel partner at the time will be that person who can help her to chill a little bit. It's like the whole bokeh tsukomi routine. Like one needs to be the dumb, the other one has to be the straight man. She would be the straight one in comparison to, I think his name was Ninjaken. She would be the tsukomi to his bokeh. He would be the goof, she would be the serious one, but they complement each other, not just in fighting style, but in personality. At least that's the idea I had in my head. Most of the writing was done by Jay, so I'd have to go back and ask him exactly how this worked and what exactly was what, and where these characters were actually going when it comes to development. But that's, as I remember it, like how my mind was working on when I was actually designing, doing the redesigns for these characters, because we had to redesign almost all these characters, because out of all of them, the only one that was still going to be like a quote-unquote ninja would be Jay himself. The rest would be from a different continent altogether, or a different location of the world, and therefore would have designs and personalities based on, different scenarios. Different cultures. So Ninjaken and Uriel would have completely different designs altogether. And so I tried to make something that looks a lot like her original design, but also with a more of a Chinese flair, I think. If only because that was like the concept in my head when it came to her fighting style, if she was going to fight unarmed. Also, when it came to the whole fighting style, now that I think about it, it kind of reminds me of maybe another inspiration was Avatar: The Last Airbender, the way they treated the fighting styles and the clothing. But honestly, when it comes to actually character design, I'm still relatively fresh on that, and I wasn't quite sure how I was going to make this work, especially since I had to do a new drawing every day for 31 days straight. I didn't have a lot of time to think about exactly how I was going to make this look. So most of the character like design for Uriel's like outfit, I was winging it. Like I had several references on her original concept, so what she looked like back then, but when it came to actually redesigning it, I wasn't quite sure. I just kind of I went on the safe side, like something similar to some type of disciple to a temple, but with extra ribbons, extra flowing parts, especially the bow in her hair and the scarf. Like, had to get something good and flowy, so when she does move, it looks graceful, like the wind. I had an idea of like a wind concept following her on this. Again, I'm not quite sure what Jay was thinking at the time, and if this was something he would have dug, but this is what I had in mind when I was designing it. Just an idea. But anyway, before I wrap it up, I am like legitimately curious on if you guys would like to know more about this story that we were working on. If you'd like to know more about this, and if maybe Jay wants me to start redesigning the rest of these characters, let me know, and I'll start letting you guys know what we were working on in the comments. Maybe that'll inspire you guys to have some, to come up with your own ideas for maybe something you guys are working on. We're all creative minds here. We're all just trying. I'm just trying to start a conversation, maybe give you guys some ideas. It's all creative. It's all art. I just want to know if you guys want to get some more info on this story. Maybe if you encourage us to maybe eventually go back to it. You might encourage us if you guys are actually curious enough. Who knows? But one step at a time. We still got to work on. We still got a comic that we're working on right now that we got to focus on. But if you guys are legitimately curious, especially if you happen to already know Jay and are only here because you heard that one of his characters is being drawn, let me know. I read the comments. But with that said, let me go ahead and wrap this up for this video. As always, thanks for watching. Take it easy. Memento mori, and I will catch you all in the next one. Kill the feed.